So
Nope, fuck that guy.
yeah, and that's all for the gaming news this week. Nate, it's time for some MCU.
Yeah. So with the release of Black Panther and almost the end of Phase 3, we just got one more movie, guys.
Oh, it's coming.
The best one.
And
The stage is set.
it is. So, back on, I mean, like, I don't know, like episode 20 or something.
I think it was just following Civil War or just before Civil War.
It was just before Civil War.
That we had talked about it, because that's when you had started.
That's when I tapped out.
Yeah. Oh, that's when you tapped out?
That's when I tapped out, yeah, because I didn't go see Civil War. I actually saw Civil War for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, because I know beforehand, what was it that was hyping you up? Had you seen the Infinity War trailer at a Comic-Con maybe? Because something had gotten you excited, because Infinity War was the only arc that you had read.
Oh yeah, I can
in
tell.
the comic
I
book.
can tell you what got me excited.
Okay.
Tell us
Pussy.
what you got. Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. Chick I was into was really into the MCU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we literally did a MCU show on FEC so that
Vagina.
Thanks.
so that Nate could get up to date to impress a girl.
That's right.
All right, did it work?
Yeah.
All
We'll
right,
go with
good
that.
job, buddy. Fist bump. No, you're just gonna leave me hanging?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you hanging.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Come over here. I'll give you a fist bump.
No. You're garbage, and you had your hand in the jizz can.
I mean, have you not?
Anyway, let's talk MCU. Because Black Panther did just come out, and
Did very well.
Nika, did you see it?
I did.
Okay, all right. So everyone has seen Black Panther. No? Why not? Seriously?
I haven't seen it yet. no.
Seriously?
No.
What is wrong with you?
He has a child.
In his
I have a
defense,
child.
He was gonna go watch it last night, but apparently they kept him.
Yeah, I
at
was
work
going to go
till,
see it
like,
last
well
night
over.
because, yesterday, I'm like, hey, what's on the docket for FEC today? Oh, MCU. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I should go watch this new movie that came out.
Yeah, because you're going to have it spoiled for you today.
Nah, that's fine, whatever. And I was going to be like, all right, well, the last showing last night was 9:30, so given that I opened today and I started at noon, you would think I would be out by 9:30 to go watch it.
No.
No, I closed.
No, fuck
so
you.
I worked 10 hours.
Yeah, fuck you.
So no, didn't watch it.
So bit of a spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Black Panther yet, we're not going to start with Black Panther, but we're going to work our way up there. We are going to be talking about some plot points from Black Panther, as well as just some of our thoughts and feelings about the movie.
And honestly,
if you are trying to avoid spoilers for it, you may want to come back to this episode after you have seen Black Panther.
well, and to be fair, one of the things I was telling Chris is I don't think there's really a whole lot in Black Panther that in the overall narrative arc was really gonna spoil.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
No, but if you don't want to
think
be
so.
spoiled for the experience of the movie itself.
Yeah, I mean that
Right.
might, yeah.
And now
that
you
might
just
be kind of-
spoil it, you piece of shit.
Exactly. All right. So, where do we start? Civil War? Do we
Oh
want to
my
start with Civil War?
gosh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, we've talked about the MCU before. How far did we cover then?
Yeah, we covered up to Civil War because
Then that's where we start.
because I think that's what was coming out.
All right, I
was
feel like
Civil
I need to
War.
bring up a timeline. Then what has happened since Civil War?
Well,
Let me
yeah.
think. Since Civil War, because during Civil War, right before that, we had Spider-Man and Ant-Man and
No, Ant-Man was just before Civil
All right,
War.
here
Spider-Man
we
was
go.
after.
Spider-Man was after.
I got us. We got Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Spider-Man, Thor, Black Panther.
Right. So,
Not that many, but
No, it's not that many actually.
but that sounds about right. That seems about the pattern.
5 of 'em.
leading up into an Avengers flick. Yeah. So, all right.
Civil War was basically an Avengers flick. Let's be real.
It was.
It really was.
And not really my favorite of the Marvel movies. Yeah, I was not that into
I
it.
liked it.
I love
Here's
it.
why. It felt like a whole bunch of superheroes just getting into a boxing ring and playfully boxing with each
Yeah,
other.
right? That's why I loved it. It was just a whole bunch of superheroes getting to a boxing ring.
It just didn't
and
feel
boxing.
like there were very many real stakes there. That's all. That's I mean
Oh, you know what? No, hold on. I get where he's coming from because obviously they have opposing viewpoints, and the viewpoints were pretty severe. But we knew as audiences, no one was actually going to kill anybody.
Right.
Over them. Rhodey, was paralyzed from the waist down, and technically at the end everyone got jailed, but then broke out. I can see. I get it.
I think
get
the stakes are pretty high between specifically Iron Man and Captain America. I feel like the two of them have something big going
Right.
between them. But with everybody else, I didn't really feel much.
But even in their confrontation towards the end of the flick, like I just sort of felt like they were pulling all of their punches. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because they weren't trying to kill each other.
I mean, I get that.
I understand where you're coming from. I do.
Yeah, it was the DBZ tournament arc of Avengers.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. But it was very cool the way that they had introduced Spider-Man. I liked the Spider-Man introduction. Tom Holland as Peter Parker. We'll get to Homecoming in just a second. But Tom Holland as Peter Parker is pretty fucking perfect.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Civil War was okay. It sort of felt like, just like in terms of progressing the plot, not much happened there.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, but it set up the stage though for the fact that there is animosity and discourse, and that all the superheroes are not this big one happy league of friends. Like there is some differences in like the fact that the way the world views superheroes and the way the superheroes view themselves.
Yeah, but
like, it did
was
a good job to like set the stage going forward, and I think that's kind of.
But that was always kind of reinforced through all of the Avengers movies, where you would see Stark and Cap kind of bristle at one another.
Yeah, and especially if you consider the origins too of the Civil War comic itself, there's no way that Civil War could have lived up to it, because that concludes with Cap straight up being murdered.
Yeah, I do think that punch is coming, but I do think that it's coming down the road.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, if you want to chime in on anything that you hear today, whether it's MCU, whatever it is, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. LimitBreakRadio.com/Discord to connect to our Discord.
I still remember my favorite part of Civil War, though, just because I feel like I didn't see it coming, because I felt like it would have been spoiled or leaked somewhere, and that was Ant-Man going Giant Man.
That was very cool.
I freaked out in my seat.
That was very cool.
It was silly though.
Yeah. No, but it was good though.
But it was cool.
It was a good moment.
Cool.
It was a good moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. It did feel like Black Panther's inclusion in Civil War was an afterthought, especially up against the Black Panther film. You had the introduction of Wakanda as a place in Age of Ultron, and but it just, I don't know. Like I didn't think that it was the best use of T'Challa or the Black Panther at all. Anyone else? No?
I mean, I feel like it served the purpose that it needed to serve, because this was, again, the Civil War movie about the Avengers going at each other, the Cap and the Iron Man stuff. It basically served exactly what it needed to. It showed us Black Panther and basically gave us his introduction. King T'Chaka died, which, as you said, directly set up the events that we see happen in Black Panther. Maybe he wasn't used to his full potential, but he was used in what the movie needed him for.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I thought that it got me really hyped for Black Panther. I was like, oh, this is a cool new character they just introduced. I'm excited for his movie.
Tell you what,
I think that's kind of what.
Fair enough.
It's the first time that a character was introduced that way that I actually wanted to see more of that character. We saw Hawkeye briefly in the original Thor, big deal. Black Widow was there a little bit for like the Iron Man movies. Okay, cool. But this is the first time that after he left, I'm like, I need more T'Challa. Show me more Black Panther. And I actually, like with Tony Stark in the original Iron Man, actually enjoy seeing him, I think, more out of his suit than I do in his suit as Black Panther.
Interesting. Civil War, pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Then we got Doctor Strange, which is actually,
that one was good.
This is my favorite Marvel movie right now.
Period.
Ooh. Period.
That's my top three.
I thought this one was different enough.
Yeah.
That it was intriguing.
Yeah.
And it did the superhero thing in a different way.
Here's what I'm starting to notice about the way that Marvel approaches doing their movies that I really respect, is that when they sit down to do a specific character, they ask what genre of film would fit them the best, right?
Yes.
with Cap, of course, you had the first Avenger, which was a period piece, and then you had Winter Soldier, and to a little bit of a lesser extent, Civil War. But Winter Soldier was straight up shot like a Bourne movie.
Mm-hmm.
That
Political
was,
thriller.
Yeah, political
Right, yeah.
thriller. I mean, like from end to end, and then Civil War was basically an Avengers flick. You're right. But like that's one of the things that I really appreciated is that the Doctor Strange movie was much more akin to something. It was much more like a cerebral thriller than it was your straight superhero action flick.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I really like that.
Like the
aspect.
way he defeated the final boss, like he didn't just punch him into oblivion. Like he used mind games to fuck with him enough until he was like, "Fuck!" Like I just thought it was so.
He trolled
different.
him. He trolled him. It was great.
Yeah, he won by trolling.
It didn't come down to an exchange of blows or punches.
Right.
It was a thinking game. And see what I always and yes, they are individual movies, but the thing that I'm always drawn to and what always catches my imagination after the fact is always how does this play into the rest of the MCU? Ant-Man introduced us to the quantum realm. And Doctor Strange introduced us not only into magic and the mystical element of the MCU as a whole, but it also introduced, I think, one of the first steps into the multiverse by showing us, that tear between worlds where he encountered Dormammu.
Final boss.
Yeah, final boss. And the fact that Doctor Strange is now one of the only beings that we know of that was able to harness the power of an Infinity Stone. There have been Sorcerer Supremes in the past who have used it, but as I forget his name. The bald guy.
The monkey guy.
Yeah, he said that it takes lots and lots of time and practice to even be able to think to mess with that thing, and he was basically able to pick it up and just start his powers are massive.
Yeah,
The potential there is insane.
So
You can make infinite beer. Massive power.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you could make infinite beer, would you?
Probably not.
What?
But I'm not a big beer drinker either.
Here's
Make
what
infinite
Screwballs.
tater tots.
here's what I really like. But here's what I really liked about the Doctor Strange movie is that I really connected to Stephen Strange's story arc, where he's got this amazing talent, he's full of himself, he's got a huge ego. And then all of that is sort of stripped away from him, and he's got to find his way back to, the greatness that he thinks that he's at, and that whole, ego stripping and training that he's doing early on in the film. Usually, that's the part of the superhero movie that I could not give a fuck about.
Oh, when they're making the transition into being a hero.
Yes, but with Doctor Strange, I was like, I was invested the whole time. I thought it was very well done, and I just, man, Benedict Cumberbatch in that role, fucking perfect.
It really was. Did you know
I
that
agree.
was
He was
almost Joaquin Phoenix?
What?
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix was Marvel's first choice.
Bad first choice.
Tell me about it.
Bad first choice.
Oh, gross.
Man, no, I really enjoyed Doctor Strange, and the visual effects in that movie are just I've never seen anything like it.
So good.
Yeah,
his accent, it's fine. He's American, but because everything else he has the British accent. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's weird.
So yeah, I definitely really like that flick. And what came after that?
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Ah, right.
Now,
was not terribly into this one.
I mean, it was fine.
I liked it the first time, but when I went back in theaters to see it again, I'm like, this isn't as good as Guardians 1.
Here's the thing. I've noticed with movies, obviously I think everybody knows this with movies, that sequels and trilogies, they're never as great as the first one, right? Like, that's usually how it ends up panning out. I've noticed with Marvel, though, they have a 50-50 chance of either falling into that usual pattern, such as Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 are not as good as the first one was. But I've also noticed that for some of them, that the first one isn't really that great, and then the second one gets better, and the third one gets better, like with Thor or with
That's
Cap. Captain America, yeah. But I think that Guardians falls in the usual one where, yes, I don't think the second or probably even the third is going to be as great as what the first one does, even in terms of the way that it affects the overall MCU, with the exception of maybe one of the bonus scenes that we'll talk about. I think that this was a very secluded, very insular story that was really only meant to take a look at Peter Quill, as a character in his life and his and basically what's going on with him personally. I think this I don't want to say is setting up something for the third one, but I think this was definitely his story.
I do agree, and as we move forward into Infinity War, we are going to see Gamora and Nebula start to
Be
take
reunited again.
start to take way more center stage. So there was a purpose to Guardians,
It tied them into the story a little
yeah.
more. I really enjoyed the movie. Like, I walked out of there happy, but I do think that the first movie just had a charm that this one was lacking.
Well, because we were all being introduced to these characters for the first time, it was. I think this was the first big gamble, quote unquote, that Marvel was taking, and obviously really paid off.
Their first big gamble was Ant-Man for sure.
Ant-Man came after. Wait, you think Ant-Man was a bigger gamble than Guardians was?
Oh, I thought. So are you?
Sorry. I'm saying the first Guardians was Marvel's first big gamble.
I don't know that it was.
You don't think so?
I don't know, because I think that you're right, that just in how much setup that there's been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at that point, people were going to go see it because it was part of the bigger.
That's true, but it was the first one
narrative.
That I think the first D-level characters that they were trying to bank on. I mean, Ant-Man was probably the next
you're
one,
right.
but,
No,
yeah.
I think that you probably got a point.
Yeah,
there.
so I think because of that, there was more pizzazz or whatever that came out of that first one. So when you went to see the second one, at this point, it's just really knuckling down and getting to know all the different characters, because there was a lot of, family stuff between everyone. Obviously, the Peter Quill stuff,
Yeah.
Drax getting close to Mantis, the
Right.
Gamora and her sister type thing. I think that it was a much more personalized story.
It introduced the Celestials in a very real way.
Yes, which is going to be important, I think, come the Ant-Man movie, because if they're going into the quantum realm, there's a very real chance that they may be meeting with Eternity, who is one of the Celestials. Overall, there's two things that Guardian made me question. The first is, now that the Celestial part of Peter has died, he's lost that power,
Yeah.
would he be able to withstand contact or the power of an Infinity Stone anymore?
Probably not, no.
Okay. And then the other one was, in one of the post-credit scenes, the golden people who build themselves or whatever, manufacture themselves, introduced Adam Warlock.
Right. Yes, we did get an introduction to Adam Warlock right at the very end there.
Now, you have more, I think, knowledge on Infinity Wars from the comics. I've never actually read the comic arc before.
Yes.
But Adam Warlock plays a huge role in that. And do you think that it's not too late to introduce him in some way?
I don't know who this character is. Who is this character?
Adam Warlock does play a fairly centralized role in the Infinity War books. I'm trying to remember. I also remember Silver Surfer playing a fairly large role in it.
quite
Yeah, and
a
he's
few
gone.
people did.
You think he's not gone?
No, I'm not.
Permanently?
No, because I'm just saying that with Disney getting the rights back
From
to
Sony.
Fantastic Four from Sony, if they wanted to put Silver Surfer somewhere in there, they probably could. I don't think they would. I don't think they would, because I don't think it would make sense. I think they've probably found somebody to supplant that role. But you do need to. The last Infinity Stone that is not
Unknown so far.
Yeah, that is
the
not
Soul Stone.
Is the Soul Stone, and that has always been Adam Warlock's gimmick, was that he had the Soul Stone in him. So,
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And so it's actually kind of the key to the Infinity War, because I think he's able to create a pocket universe of some kind. I don't know, man. It's been a long fucking time.
It has been a very long time.
It's been a long time since I've read Infinity War.
Yeah, and right now, one of the big questions, even still to this point right now, is where is the last Infinity Stone, which would be the Soul Gem. A lot of people thought that maybe it would show up in Wakanda.
Yeah, in Wakanda, but it didn't.
Well,
Doesn't mean it's
yet.
not there.
Right. But the fact that these golden people, I forget what they're called, genetically produce each other all the time. I mean, if
Pretty
you're
racist, by the way.
okay, sorry.
Those golden.
Those golden people.
Those
So I could see them having the Soul Stone, and the way that she talks about Adam Warlock. At the end she says his name will be Adam, but the way that she talks about him, she's basically creating him to, I think, hunt down the Guardians, get revenge on them. It would make sense to put the Soul Stone in him or use the Soul Stone to imbue.
I mean, if
within him
that
more
culture
powers.
if that culture is basically had possession over the Soul Stone, and they're trying to make an ultimate weapon, of course they're going to use the Soul Stone in the ultimate weapon.
Yep.
Right?
And I had thought that because of its direct relation to the Guardians, that maybe we wouldn't even necessarily see him until the next Guardians movie, until the next movie that took place more in the cosmic universe. Plus, I feel like if someone had been cast as Adam Warlock, they would have had to by now in order to have filmed something. But I suppose it's also possible that we could even maybe just get another post-credit scene with him. I don't know at this point how much of a role he could potentially play in Infinity War.
It could be a red herring. He could arrive on the scene and Thanos strips him of the Soul Stone and he's gone.
That'd suck.
That would be really.
That would really
yeah.
suck.
We're working our way towards what we think is going to be in Infinity War, because there's got to be a lot that changes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in terms of the way that the producers are talking about Infinity War as like there's going to be the way that people are going to look at it is that there's going to be superhero movies before Infinity War and after Infinity War. I mean, it's going to be a big deal. Whatever they have planned, it's a big fucking deal, and they're keeping it very much under wraps. So if Adam Warlock plays a bigger role, that wouldn't surprise me. If he's a red herring, that also wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're
All right,
going with
I guess
this,
that's
especially
fair.
with the way that they use the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, if anybody recalls that. That was super red herring.
Or
Yeah.
any of the post-credit sequences in any of the Guardians movies, they don't tend to take them very seriously. Remember the first one? It was Howard the Duck.
Yeah, all right, that's probably fair.
Yeah.
So, forgive me for not
I get it.
not just jumping right
okay,
on that
but
train.
Howard the Duck is slightly more important than Adam Warlock, so that makes sense, though.
Anyway, so that brings us to where are we at?
Spider-Man
Spider-Man?
Homecoming,
Spider-Man
which
Homecoming.
you really dug.
I fucking loved this movie.
It was good.
More than Doctor
loved-
Strange.
No,
I loved it
no,
because it was
no.
not.
I liked
it was
it, but
not an origin story.
Yes.
like literally,
Yeah.
his entire origin was, I got bit by a spider. It's cool. Like that was it.
Well, because
It
we
was
all,
done.
at
'Cause
this
we've
point,
seen
we
it.
all know,
Like
and
3
Marvel
times now.
knew
Yeah.
that. Marvel
Yeah,
knew
and I'm
that.
glad that they realized that because like Spider-Man, this is like the third reboot of Spider-Man, and like, God, like.
They got it right. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I definitely think that they got this one right. I also
It's
think
because this one was Marvel and not Fox or whoever owned it before. Sony.
Sony, yeah,
Yeah.
it was Sony. Well, no, actually, it's still. I mean, Sony
Sorry,
still
yes.
owns it, but
Sony
it's
does
it's a
still own it,
partnership.
It's a
with- yeah.
partnership, yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's some really great stuff going on in there. Again, Tom Holland kills it as Spider-Man.
As both Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Yes.
Period. Like straight up.
Because you get the kind of dweeby kid, and you believe that he's a dweeby kid. That whole penis Parker thing. I'm just like, I believe this. That's the most believable fucking thing.
Maybe we should stop staring before it gets creepy.
Flash,
already creepy.
Flash Thompson going, when I say penis, you say Parker. I fucking died. I died. I thought that was great.
But and what I love about when he puts the mask on too, he doesn't stop being Peter Parker. You can still see the Peter Parker in him, but he also takes on that Spider-Man persona, where he wants to do good. And throughout the entire movie, all the other movies did this in like a 10-minute montage.
Yeah.
Where it shows him like stumbling around and getting used to his powers, but then boom, he's Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
No, through this whole thing, he was a shambling mess.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Well, and The thing, I loved the way that they opened the movie with like the
the cell phone movie.
The cell phone movies from Peter. Oh my God. Fucking brilliant.
When he's actually at the airport in Civil War. Oh, gotta go, guys. And he runs
he's big
off.
now. Yeah. Shit. Oh my God. What a great way. What a great way to open that movie. I thought that was phenomenal.
Oh, I can't wait for the second one. It was so good.
I also loved The Vulture.
Which is one of the few times, or probably the strongest example of Marvel doing a villain well when they only have the one movie so far.
I
to work
agree.
with.
I think Marvel is getting way better at its villains. You know, and I recently did do a rewatch of the earlier MCU flicks, and you know, some of the motivations for Loki don't really make a whole ton of sense. You know, like it doesn't necessarily come together in the same cohesive way that the Vulture came together, right? Or like Eric Killmonger came together. Like both of those villains, I think, were relatable, sympathetic, but also
Villains.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was
as opposed to like Ronan from the first Guardians. He was evil guy who tried to do evil things, and everyone wanted him to die.
it will be Krull justice. Like, okay, we get it. All right, fine.
Yeah, I think that's the best way you probably could have put it, that when they only have one movie to display a villain. I agree with you. Vulture and Killmonger both. Like, I mean, we're not at Black Panther yet, but I actually cried for Killmonger. Like, I never really feel for the villains, and I just feel like that they are.
That was only because it
definitely-
was Michael B. Jordan.
No, it's not.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did you cry for Forrest Whitaker's character?
Um,
Who? Yeah,
No, I
that's what I
didn't.
thought.
Who is
But
it?
actually, I felt really bad though, because
Oh,
like
she felt
he didn't
bad,
need to
guys.
die.
He didn't, no.
There was no reason for him to die. But I mean, but then again, what I feel like that did is it solidified him as an unredeemable villain, because killing someone like that
That's fair.
for no reason,
Now-
in cold blood, right
Sure.
there,
Yeah.
makes it like, you know, even though the Killmonger is a sympathetic
So-
villain, he's you cannot give him a redemption arc.
So why do you think for Vulture and for Killmonger that it worked and it hasn't worked in previous ones?
That is a good question.
I mean, I think
I think giving the villain more backstory. I don't know, because like you in Spider-Man, you get the Vulture as a character. Like he's actually somebody that Peter Parker interacts with at a regular level, and you as the viewer see him as another character in the movie. And then when it's kind of slowly revealed that, oh, this guy's the villain, it kind of just makes you feel bad.
I think I think a core part of being able to sympathize with the villain, even if you don't necessarily understand what their end goals are, if you see them in a relatable way. So, for example, Vulture, we see him at the beginning as just a dude trying to survive, and with Killmonger, we see him as a child, right? I don't know that we really ever got that with anyone else. Maybe in Iron Man 1 with the Iron Warmonger, but there was always something off about Jebediah's character that felt wrong.
Menacing.
Right? That felt
It
menacing.
felt
yeah.
menacing. And-
Even with Mickey Rourke's character in
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, he was evil right from the get-go. Like, they always explain what happened to them, but our first impression of them is always evil and not sympathetic. And I think that is a major key in it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Part of, and I think that, you know, Loki is also a really like bad villain in the sense that his motivations change on a dime, seemingly at the will of the convenience of the writer. Right, like
That's just him being mischievous.
I
though.
mean, it is.
but that's
I
how
think,
they
part
no.
of
That's how they
Loki,
write
but-
it off, though. That's how they wave a wand and hand wave it away. Is he's just being trickster god Loki. But it's like by Ragnarok, I was just like fucking done with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why don't we should just get into Ragnarok?
Yeah, no, Ragnarok is next. Yep, which you actually didn't have the biggest.
I fucking hated this movie.
Oh, you did.
I loved
Hated
it.
Hated it.
Wow.
Hated it.
I didn't stop laughing the entire movie, and I walked out of there feeling.
That
on
was
top
my
of the world.
problem. That was my problem. Is it was
I see
wall
that.
to wall shtick.
I see that argument.
I bet you're wondering how I got here, the God of Thunder in a cave.
That's great.
Listen, I'm not saying that the jokes were bad. The jokes were fine. But
I was taking the charm of Deadpool and the silliness of Guardians and putting it into Thor.
Yes.
And like I like it as a movie. I actually thought the movie was great. However, as an overall MCU movie, I agree that it felt a little jarring.
Well,
but I think as a movie on its own, I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, I agree with both of those because one of the biggest complaints I saw from critics when it came out was that, Marvel movies being fun is starting to become a problem because that's what everyone said. Oh yeah, it was good. It was fun. And that's it. There isn't anything more to it like there was in Black Panther or in The Winter Soldier. It was just a fun movie. And I don't know, I think that overall, even from the beginning, Thor was a little mishandled because even just being fun was a major upgrade for the Thor franchise.
I agree. I do. I agree with that. I do agree with that Thor needed a little bit of levity put into his series of movies, right?
I think it was too much, though.
Yes.
I think Thor Ragnarok could really be improved if they went to that one planet where Luke Skywalker was, and they introduced the Porgs to the movie.
Chris, you have no worthwhile opinions. Why are you talking?
Seriously. You did actually see this movie. We're not even to the Black Panther yet. Okay? All right. My other problem with Ragnarok is that we spent a total of 15 minutes with fucking Ragnarok and Asgard. Like, that's it. In terms of screen time, most of it was on that stupid Jeff Goldblum planet.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was
not a fan of the Grandmaster, by the way.
All I wanted to do...
I thought his character was fun.
All I wanted to do was see the Hulk and Thor square off because I knew from all the trailers that's what was going to happen. Yeah. And then get the fuck to Asgard.
Yeah.
And the fact that they dawdled around on that fucking planet for 40 minutes longer than they should have really bothered me.
That's probably fair. Because
I fucking hated...
when Ragnarok finally came, it was kind of like a punchline. Like, he's like, oh shit, that's the answer. Start Ragnarok.
Blow up my world for the good of the... everything.
I mean, it was fine, but I think Nate's probably right. They probably could have taken, 20, 30 minutes out of War World, or what was essentially War World, and put it into the end.
The chick playing Hela could not have chewed the scenery more if she tried. Oh my God. Overacting much.
Oh, I love Kate Blanchett
I was going to say,
Hela.
Speaking of Hela, though, as a villain... Because we were just talking about, Killmonger and Vulture.
Yes.
Like, as a villain, how do we feel as Hela's build up and becoming...
I think that she had just kind of generic Marvel villain syndrome.
Yeah, she was a bad villain.
Where it's like, oh, okay, that's your sister. Oh, well, she's bad because she's bad.
And she's going to go do bad things.
It gave her
spikes.
some backstory, but yeah, I don't feel like we as the viewer had enough time to kind of...
Oh, no, there was no
sympathize
sympathy for her. In fact, the reason that I liked her wasn't because I sympathized for her or thought that she was a great villain in the same way that I did Killmonger or the Vulture. I just thought she was a badass.
I mean, yeah,
she definitely was.
Yeah, she was a badass. But that's sort of what... I mean, Marvel's really good about, like, all of their villains are badasses.
But there's not female badasses.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but we know that Marvel can do female badasses if they actually tried. Like, look at Black Panther. There's 20 million of them in that movie.
Right.
But I feel like there's just not enough female superheroes in Marvel that they're actually taking and putting into this universe. And I feel like that's a problem because we could see more female badasses.
Well, we've got the Wasp coming up in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for that one so
much.
I'm really excited.
I am kind of excited about that because the gal who plays the Wasp, I can't remember
Evangeline Lilly?
Evangeline Lilly, yeah. I really like her as an actress.
What did you guys think of, because the Hulk, obviously we know he's not ever going to get his own movie, but with the end of Ultron, this movie, and then Infinity War, those are going to have three distinct parts of what is essentially going to be the Hulk's arc. Because now that you mention how basically the whole movie was just all this levity and this laughter and blah 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 and funny stuff, my favorite part of the entire movie was when they were in the Quinjet and the little hollow thing of Black Widow popped up, like that whole Thor moment in there.
Yeah.
Hulk moment in there.
Yeah,
and then when Thor starts like reciting the words and stuff.
Sun's going down, big guy.
My
that was pretty funny. That was funny
so
though.
Good.
No, they've always done a good job with Hulk building
Except
him
for
as
his own movie.
as a character that we like. No, I mean it sucks that he doesn't get his own movie because I feel like the current actor for completely
Mark
for
Ruffalo.
Hulk,
Mark
completely-
Ruffalo, yeah.
Mark Ruffalo, thank you. Like I feel like he is such a quirky and like perfect actor for that role that we all kind of feel for him now, and it really sucks that we're not going to get a movie of just Mark Ruffalo.
Can you imagine if Edward Norton was still playing Banner?
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Can,
I love
honestly,
Norton, but
genuinely,
no, I
can you
can't.
imagine that? Like, I can't see it. I can't see him doing the shtick, because that's at least Ruffalo can pull the shtick off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nope. Definitely don't think so. Other than that, I think the big takeaways from Thor was the end. Obviously, Loki has the Tesseract now. Asgard is gone. The big thing that I'm wondering about now is we saw in was it a post-credit scene in Spider-Man or whatever. Basically, the Guardians find Thor in a pile of wreckage, right? So that means that ship we saw coming down on the ship that basically had all the Asgardian race in it was attacked by Thanos or perhaps his Black Order.
Oh, I kind of forgot about that scene.
Does this mean that Asgardians are extinct now?
Hang on. Go back. What?
Okay, so
Yeah, which scene
end
was
of
this?
Ragnarok, all the Asgardians get onto the ship, right? Hey, we got a spaceship. You guys want to
Yeah,
come?
and they're gonna go find the new.
They
Right.
flew off. Okay.
Home.
The post-credit scene for Thor Ragnarok showed this giant ship basically
Looming over
them now, right? That is either Thanos. That's connected to Thanos in some way, either on their way to Earth or on their way. Actually, they could have even been coming to Asgard to get the Tesseract.
the
Right.
space gem, which would help them move through space.
Yes, we know that Infinity War has the Guardians of the Galaxy finding Thor floating in space amongst a bunch of rubble.
We do?
Yeah, it was in the
trailer.
The trailer.
Yeah, remember they grab him, they put him back up in there. And
I
he's
haven't
like, Who the hell are you
I haven't
guys?
seen any of the Infinity trailer.
None of it?
Infinity War trailers.
You
no.
should have
Actually,
saw
I
it
don't
with the
know.
trailer
I
that
think I saw
you
the
saw
very
out
first
at,
one, and I haven't seen one since.
Yeah, it's like
out
months
at
old. now.
yeah, I would have thought that you saw it when you were out at Comic-Con. But
I
yeah.
was
Comic-Con
so
was-
drunk.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
The Comic-Con one was different, though. Remember that.
Yeah, no, the Comic-Con one was I don't think that's even out yet, is it?
No.
Yeah,
I don't know if
they kept that
officially
like
That's
released
super
it.
under wraps.
because they like confiscated people's phones and stuff.
People still wrote about it. I remember reading where as the Guardians are making their way through this debris field, a body hits the windshield and Rocket's like, get it off, get it off, get it off. They pull it in and it's Thor.
Okay.
That means that ship, which had Thor, the Valkyrie, Hulk,
Asgards.
Loki, and all the Asgards, was destroyed.
It's possible.
Now, obviously, Hulk survives. Obviously, Loki survives. It's possible, because that was the space gem, that Loki got everyone out
Valkyrie better
somehow.
survive because she was definitely a badass female.
But there's
liked her.
a lot of questions on exactly what the fate of the Asgardians is.
That's fair. I mean,
I always thought that Earthlings were going to be the first to bite it, but if the gods of Asgard die first, that's a win for
We're all
humanity.
screwed.
that's a fair question, man. I'm not sure. I mean, we do know. I think obviously Loki getting possession of the Tesseract. Loki does play. Or is it Loki?
Loki was working for Thanos
Originally, back in Avengers.
That's
Avengers
right.
1.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep, he gave him the Mind Staff, which had the Mind Stone in it, to basically start the invasion on Earth. So he was entrusted with an Infinity Stone
Yeah.
and told not to fail, and was obviously supposed to bring back the Time Stone as well, and obviously failed in both regards.
But if he comes back with the Tesseract,
Is it going to be enough?
Well, that's what his original purpose was.
But now he also doesn't have the Mind Stone, so he exchanged one for one and lost a bunch of time.
okay, but the Space Stone is probably worth more than the Mind Stone because you can go through space.
I still think
that's
if I
how you
was-
win wars is through logistics.
If I was Thanos, I'd still be like, oh, thank you. Now you're dead.
Yeah, well, fair, but
Yeah. We don't have a whole lot of time here left, so let's get into Black Panther.
let's get into Black Panther. This is probably number 2 on my list of favorite Marvel movies.
It's in my top 5.
I fucking
It was very
loved this movie.
Now, I've been seeing a lot of people who liked it, but they don't seem to have gotten the hype. And it's just an observation that I myself have made, but they seem to be all white people.
I also noticed that.
Are they getting caught up on one really specific aspect of the film?
I don't know. I haven't got to really like talk to them about it right now. Now, first of all, I do think that one of the biggest things that this movie did right is definitely like culturally related and doesn't necessarily relate to us. However, like beat for beat on paper, this movie doesn't necessarily do a lot of stuff new, but it does it the best.
I agree. Like, I want to say that in terms of like the flow of the plot, I predicted literally everything that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't one of those like coming out of left field. That wasn't the point of this movie. So I feel like when you look at it, like you can say culturally, it was very representative of Africa, but it also did a good job, I think, of representing how poorly treated Black people are around the world. And I think that is the kind of movie that America as a whole really needed to see. So regardless of the fact that like, you know, plot wise, it wasn't new.
This probably
was still exactly what we needed. And because it was done so well, and any of the cliches or tropes that were in it were executed so perfectly, as well as all of the representation of culture, I think that is what pushes it to the top.
Well, and I think it did more for us culturally than it did for the MCU. And I think that's maybe what a lot of people are getting hung up on, is they're like, I don't really see how this is going to affect a bunch of stuff. But honestly, like,
it
Wakanda?
will now, though, because
it
is. It will not, because the whole point of it was that apparently in the comics, Wakanda was a lot more reserved for a long time. And they did kind of keep to themselves. And right away in this movie, they're like, no, that's not right. We need to help other people. And I think that in itself is going to be what affects the MCU. Like right away at the end, they're like, oh, well, how's a third world farm country going to help us? But like, oh, but that's not what's going on here. So
that
all of a sudden we have this first world country coming out of nowhere, and that is going to be a game changer going forward.
Dude,
so
that post-credit scene when T'Challa's all like, oh, we're going to share our stuff with you, and the one senator or whatever he was is like, okay.
I literally just said that.
So?
That's exactly what I just
said. I know. That was just a funny scene.
Anyway. So, you know, yeah, I do think that, you know, in terms of the action points, they were well executed. I think that the themes were a lot more well fleshed out in terms of, you know, the way that you build in and execute thematic arcs in movies. You know, so I saw a lot of themes of like family and you know, fatherhood and you know, just a lot of really family was also really big. Heritage was also a really big theme in all of this. Tradition, another huge theme here. And I liked it for all of those reasons. I thought it was really fascinating that, you know, you have a culture that is almost completely bifurcated in the fact that it's got the most technological, you know, advancements on the planet, but it's also very connected to its roots and its heritage and the foundation of its people. And that's something that you don't see, you know, represented in film very often.
The way that they built the world, this is probably the best world building that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done to date as well.
And we also got to talk about Eric Killmonger, man, because what a great villain. What a great, well-executed character that had a very clear plot arc and a vision that made you go, oh, shit, like, he's not entirely wrong.
Exactly. I think that's what made him a great villain, is from the start when he comes in saying, you know, this is what I want to see happen. I'm like, well, yeah, I want to see that happen too, just not in the ways he goes about it, but he's not wrong in his motive.
He
and
also
I think that's what
abided.
made him such a relatable villain.
He also abided by the rules too. He didn't do anything that would be in Wakanda considered
That's
illegal
true.
or anything like that. Like what did he actually
Yeah,
do?
burning the
that
flowers, that was a little
Okay, yes.
because now the traditions can't go forward.
Yes, but other than that, like up to the point, well, as king, why couldn't he do that? Up until becoming king, though, what did he really do that was like shitty?
Nothing. I mean, nothing, because he followed by the rules even entering Wakanda. You know, he didn't barge in.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. He was, and Michael B. Jordan, by the way, fucking killed that role.
Second Human Torch vindicated.
Yeah, 2 Human Torches.
Yeah, I haven't seen that meme flying around.
That's so funny. One of my friends, Vertus, actually brought up a really good point in the sort of stark thematic differences between a character like Eric Killmonger and T'Challa, and the way that he put it, and I thought that this was really great, was he's like, well, that sort of embodies the different approaches that Malcolm and Martin took in the civil rights movement. And I thought that was a really interesting observation. So, there's a whole lot that's going on underneath the surface of that movie that I just fucking loved. It made a lot of political statements that in 2018 probably shouldn't be political or as political as they are.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
And I, it may not have done much to move the MCU forward, and I get that.
I actually disagree.
But I think that there's been a lot that's been set up to follow in the wake of Infinity War.
Yeah, I think just with both of the end credit scenes, it shows how Wakanda and Black Panther are going to be game changers in the MCU. Like, the actual movie didn't move it along, but it has set up to then become a major player.
Can we talk about Shuri? Because she is like my favorite
Please.
character in the entire
Can we?
Marvel Cinematic
She's
Universe now.
This movie was not just about, Black culture, but the women.
Yeah.
The women in this movie were absolutely fucking fantastic.
I didn't feel like any characters were wasted either. The only character that I felt like could have maybe used a little bit of work or was a little bit weak was the Rhino guy. I forget what his name was, but he was the only one that for some reason he didn't jive with me. But every other person I thought was their presence, the way that they were written, the way that they were acted was all spot on. And as I said earlier too, I enjoy watching T'Challa as much, probably more than I enjoy seeing Black Panther himself.
Fair enough. So as we move into Infinity War, we do know that a big central part and theme of Infinity War, even going back as far as the books, is how many superheroes get lost in the war. There's a lot of people that die. I mean,
I don't know much about it.
At
the beginning, in order to impress death,
yes.
Thanos uses the Soul Stone to wipe out a third of life in the universe.
Yes. Yes, just blanketly.
Before it even starts.
So, that's actually one of the issues in the Infinity War. It's got the cover, and it's got all of the missing the shield IDs of all of the missing superheroes.
That's a cool way to do it.
It was dude, that was a great book. Who do we think is going to make it to Phase 4 at this point?
Any of the new people. Strange, T'Challa, Spider-Man, because he has another movie.
I think Spider-Man's dead.
In Infinity War?
Yeah. I think
no, because Spider-Man's going to have another movie. I think.
Hold on.
But you can throw Miles Morales into that. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get around that. There's a lot of ways to get around.
Okay, that's fair.
Because we know that Spider-Man picks up literally 5 minutes after this event, what is going to be Avengers 4. So he at least has to survive into Avengers 4, and that'd be a really risky move on their part. And look, I'm all for the death of Spider-Man. That's my favorite Marvel moment out of all the comics histories. But I think if you're going to do that, you do that in the second Spider-Man movie as opposed to in the Infinity War movies.
Zeldoria saying that they'll all die and then be brought back with the stones. That's possible.
That is a big possibility.
It's possible.
That's my theory.
Then that just makes us like DBZ, where death is not important anymore.
Hang on.
Because everyone could come back with the Dragon Ball.
I get that. More than that, though, contracts are up. There are contracts that are expired.
Thor.
Thor
Man.
is done. Iron Man is done.
Robert Downey Jr. I think has actually been done for a while, and they've been doing his on a contract or a movie by movie basis. I think that Sebastian Stan has 1 or 2. I believe Chris Evans is done.
Who's Sebastian Stan?
The Winter Soldier.
Bucky.
Oh,
Bucky.
Really? He's done?
Technically, I think, like I said, I think he has 1 or 2. But again, they could always re-up it because this is the thing.
Yeah.
We know nothing about the next phase. From
See-
Avengers 4
Yeah.
onward, they won't even tell us the titles
because
of movies.
it'll give away too much.
Because
I-
it'll give-
I-
It'll give away, who lives and who dies.
Right. See, I think Stark has to die. Because I think RDJ is just
He's done.
And they
He's
need,
just-
and
he's been doing it
Shuri,
for so long now.
Shuri can come in and be the new genius
and
tech person.
well, she can be Ironheart. Yes. She can either take up the name Riri Williams or
She can just kind of become that.
yeah, she can just
Easily.
be Ironheart.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, you throw
Actually, I would love that. Actually,
you give
thinking
her
about it.
give her access to Stark tech. I mean,
She doesn't even need Stark tech. She has
Yeah, but
Wakanda tech.
combine the Stark tech with the tech that she has, and she could do so much more. I think that's
I
a
feel
great
like
idea.
that's saying, all right, let's go ahead and put this Windows 95 into Windows 10.
anyway. So there's that. I think Cap has to die. I mean,
Really? You
yeah.
think both Cap and Iron Man are gone?
Yeah, I do.
You think Thor's gone?
He better not be.
Because we're losing a lot of Chris's here.
It's true. No,
Yeah, they still got Chris Pratt.
I think
I don't think the Guardians are going anywhere.
No,
At
I
least-
don't-
At least
I-
not
Some
Chris
of them
Pratt.
might.
some
Okay,
of
at
them
least
might.
not
There's a lot
Star-Lord.
of
Star-Lord,
Guardians
I
we
think
can
will be
switch
fine.
out.
No, I think Drax is done.
Yeah, Drax
he's
doesn't
so
really have
dumb.
much going on.
Yeah.
He's so dumb. He's gonna die.
Especially because if they defeat Thanos, he avenges his family. Drax can die.
We know that Groot will just re-sprout if he dies.
Depending on how he dies.
That's true.
What if he's incinerated?
I see, because I think if they give Bucky the shield and make him the new Cap, that's a really interesting way to do
That's true too.
Cap going. You know, like that way.
I
I
didn't
mean,
think of that.
these are huge contracts that you got to keep these people under. You know what I mean? Like,
Now, here's the question. Does someone have to die in order for them to be done? Could anyone decide to just step away?
Then what you're talking about is Marvel recasting the role. I don't see that.
No, not as the
No,
actor.
like storyline-wise.
The character. Yeah, there have been storylines. There was
Where
a
the character
there was a,
the character says they're done. Not
there
the
was a
actor.
massive
okay.
gap.
Like Hawkeye.
There was
Okay.
a massive gap in the Ultimate timeline where, because of the direction the government was going, that Captain America was like, I'm fucking done. And for like a year and a half, he was just fucking gone until someone like found him in the desert and dragged him back to do something about it.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think that you may see some retirements. You may, but I think that, first of all, killing Spider-Man, that makes Tony, that motivates Tony Stark, because he brought Spider-Man in.
Yes.
Right?
And Spider-Man's a kid. I feel like it would really
Exactly.
suck for Spider-Man to just be gone already.
I would hate,
Nika.
and I would hate Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man to be gone, because it's so good.
You should really read the Ultimate timeline. Oh, you will cry your eyes out.
But
No, I don't.
But that's the thing, though, is that I think like a lot of these deaths need to happen to be able to move into phase 4.
You don't think that if that with the amount of deaths that we think need to happen, or people who are set up for it, that would be an oversaturation?
So much death.
I mean, we have two. Here's the thing: we have two movies we can split them between, right? And Nika, you kind of poo-pooed a little bit the idea of the Soul Stone bringing everyone back. I think Chris's theory, and what I think is actually an interesting way to do it, is if he does use the Soul Stone to wipe out a bunch of people, or a bunch of people die off, at the end of the first one, someone, maybe Warlock, maybe somebody else, uses the Soul Stone to bring them back. Because the other thing we know is that Avengers 3 and 4, so Infinity War and 4, are two separate movies. We're not going to get a to be continued. There will be a definite end to the first movie, and then a start to the next
Do
one.
we know that?
Yes.
I always thought they were supposed to be kind of connected.
I mean, they're connected, but not in the same
They're
way.
two different stories.
Yeah.
It's not Infinity
Okay, I
War
guess I
Part
wasn't-
1 and
I
2.
wasn't sure about that.
Right, that's right.
Okay.
So honestly, the way that I could see it potentially working out, for example, is Thanos comes and he defeats everyone. Like the end of Infinity War, yeah, a bunch of people are gone. And then the next movie, whatever it is, maybe that's when Adam Warlock shows up, because I think we get a Guardians movie in between there.
Honestly, I think that the fourth Avengers flick is going to be called The New Avengers. And it's going to be a completely different superhero team. That's what I think.
That
I mean, there
But
was
it's going to be the formation of whoever's left
Yes.
becomes the new Avengers.
exactly, yeah. Because that's what I mean. There were the West Coast Avengers,
Yeah.
and like there were a whole bunch of different
Oh, I can already see that title card. That's so Marvel and Disney.
The
too.
New Avengers.
Or it would just be Avengers, and then the new appears at the top.
Yeah.
Oh, it just like slowly fades
Just like
in. Yeah.
the new Ghostbusters. Oh no, that's the original ones. Never mind. The real Ghostbusters.
I mean, I think that's probably a pretty decent working theory right there. Is that
honestly, yeah, that's the
All right, guys, we've called it. So when all of this is true, you heard it here first.
That's right.
That's now that's in my top 2 for theories because the main theory that I've been standing behind is this could easily transition into a Secret Wars type stuff, especially again with them getting the
maybe down the line. I think. I think that's
them
that
getting
might.
the Fox properties and
Yeah.
being able to merge those in.
Yeah.
But whew.
We'll
I don't
see.
know. I think I'm still putting my money on Thor because there is going to be a funeral scene in the Avengers, specifically because they actually cast for a funeral scene at one point.
Oh.
So I mean,
So someone died.
Some big name is going to die.
yeah.
I'm banging on the funeral. If they're having a funeral for a new one, it's Tony Stark.
Yeah. Because I mean, would you even have a funeral? Because the Vision has to die. So he's got one of the stones in him.
That
doesn't
would
he
say
doesn't
that it's
have to
tied to
die.
his life. I feel like with the way that he's talked about it, he's separate from it. It allowed him to be, but it's not him. I think that might actually be a specific line he said. It gave me life, but it is not part
Well,
of me.
I was just going to ask, do you have funerals for sentient AI?
I don't think that he's been around enough. I think that with Thor, even though he's not from Earth, he's in everyone, like the public eye enough that they would want to have.
That's
A
true, but
funeral
I
for
still
him.
feel like if they're going to have one funeral scene in an Avengers movie, it
Yeah.
would be Tony Stark.
I
Like
agree.
if you
Cap.
had to pick someone, it
Or
would be
Cap.
him.
It would either be Stark or Cap.
Probably Cap.
I think Cap's even a better
yeah,
choice than Tony
maybe
is.
Cap too.
I feel like, but they've set like, and I just did this run of all of the movies. I feel like they're setting up for both of them. Like they had the opportunity to kill Cap in Civil War, and they didn't. And I think that they were saving it for Infinity War.
Why can't it be May yet?
They'll be here soon enough.
Yeah.
Oh, the month. I thought you were talking about like Aunt May dying. I'm like, why would you want Aunt May to die?
Especially because Aunt May's hot.
so
Super hot.
Hot now.
By the way, when she walks in that post-credit scene and sees him, what the?
That was good. That was good.
All right, we're going to have to leave the discussion right there. Excited for when Infinity War ends up coming out. But yeah, we'll there's a good chance that we'll revisit the topic after post Infinity War, and see where everyone's at.
Do we know if Captain Marvel is in Infinity War?
It's a good question.
Ooh, I don't know.
No, it's
She's been seen on set, so we don't know if she's just going to be a post-credit scene or how she plays into it.
I mean, it could be like the Black Panther of the last movie where she's just introduced,
possible,
she does a
but-
little thing, and then it sets up for her movie.
No, because here's the interesting thing. Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s. So Captain Marvel's already a superhero, and she's actually been around longer than Iron Man has.
Interesting.
Where's she been?
Huh.
On Earth? In the cosmos?
Interesting. All right, guys, we're going to have to leave it right there. Thanks for tuning in for Final Encountercast.